Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Chandrakala Chaudhary. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Thursday, the 20th of June. US cannot tolerate Pakistan becoming safe haven for terrorists, says Nikki Haley. Pakistan placed on grey list by anti-terror financing watchdog. And Afghan security forces to resume operations once ceasefire ends. And now for all the details. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday paid homage to the 15th century mystic poet Sant Kabir Das on his 500th death anniversary in India's northern Uttar Pradesh province. He also laid the foundation stone of a research institute named after the mystic poet. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday paid homage to 15th century mystic poet Sant Kabir Das on his 500th death anniversary in India's northern Uttar Pradesh province. The Prime Minister visited the mausoleum of Sant Kabir Das and offered a holy chadar or ceremonial cloth. Later in the day, he also laid the foundation stone of a research institute named after the mystic poet. Setting the tone for the 2019 general elections, the Prime Minister chose the event as the epicenter of his ruling Bharatiya Janata Party's campaign in Uttar Pradesh.
सत्ता का लालच ऐसा है कि आपातकाल लगाने वाले और उस समय आपातकाल को विरोध करने वाले आज कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर कुर्सी झपटने की फिराक में घूम रहे हैं। ये देश नहीं, समाज नहीं, सिर्फ अपने और अपने परिवार के हितों के लिए चिंतित है।
Prime Minister Modi went on to say that some political parties want unrest in India and urged them to learn from Indian legends and peace lovers such as Sant Kabir Das, Mahatma Gandhi and Baba Ambedkar. US Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley on Thursday said the US values Pakistan as a partner in its counter-terrorism efforts but cannot tolerate it becoming a haven for terrorists. She made the statement during her three-day official visit to India.
The US Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, on Thursday said the US values Pakistan as a partner in its fight against terrorism, but cannot tolerate the country becoming a haven for terrorists. During a media interaction in Indian capital New Delhi, the American envoy said India is widely respected despite possessing nuclear capabilities, as it is a democratic country and a member of non-proliferation groups.
Neither of our nations can afford to turn a blind eye to regimes that produce, harbor, and support terrorists. In this area, the United States is approaching our relationship with Pakistan differently than in the past.
Earlier in the day, Haley, a daughter of Sikh immigrants from India, paid her obeisance at Gurdwara Seesganj Sahib, a historical Sikh place of worship in the Indian capital. She also visited the Gauri Shankar Mandir, a Hindu temple in the city, and also offered prayers at the India's largest mosque, Jama Masjid, built by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan in the 17th century. She had last visited India in late 2014 when she was governor of US state of South Carolina. Earlier on Wednesday, Haley called on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also met India's Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj to strengthen ongoing cooperation at the United Nations. Her visit came days before the US-India 2+2 dialogue on July 6th, which will focus on strengthening strategic security and defense cooperation.
Moving on, global anti-terror financing watchdog Financial Action Task Force has decided to keep Pakistan on its grey list. Despite diplomatic efforts by Pakistan to avert the decision, the intergovernmental body argued that Pakistan had failed to curb terror financing on its soil. Global anti-terror financing watchdog, the Financial Action Task Force or FATF, on Wednesday officially placed Pakistan on its grey list after a plenary meeting in Paris. Despite diplomatic efforts by Pakistan's caretaker Finance Minister Samshad Akhtar to avert the decision, the intergovernmental body argued that Pakistan had failed to curb terror financing on its soil. Pakistan had submitted a comprehensive action plan to the FATF to choke the funding of militant groups, including Mumbai attack mastermind Hafiz Saeed-led JUD and its affiliates, to avoid being blacklisted by it. The placement onto grey list is likely to hurt Pakistan's economy as well as its international standing. In a strict move, the US had announced suspension of all security assistance to Pakistan in January this year, blaming it for failing to tackle militancy on its soil. Islamabad, in its response, had said it has sacrificed a lot in the fight against terrorism and was being used as a scapegoat by US for its failures in Afghanistan. In news from Afghanistan, Afghanistan's Ministry of Defense has said Afghan security forces will resume their campaign against militants as soon as the unilateral ceasefire with the Taliban ends. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani had extended the ceasefire last week by about 10 days.
Afghanistan's Defense Ministry on Wednesday confirmed that the Afghan National Defense and Security Forces will resume their action against Taliban militants once the extended unilateral ceasefire ends. Both Afghan government and Taliban agreed to a 3-day ceasefire during Eid-ul-Fitr. Although Taliban refused to extend it, President Ghani extended a unilateral ceasefire which is bound to expire in next 2 days. Currently, the government forces are fighting Taliban in 9 provinces, the Defense Ministry said.
در روز شنبه یا یک شنبه از تمام آنچه که ما در افغانستان پلان داریم شما را به جریان قرار خواهیم داد.
Jalraz district in Maidan Wartak province has suffered intense fighting between government forces and the Taliban over the past few days. The unilateral ceasefire had raised hopes for peace in the war-ravaged country, but after the 3-day truce, Taliban has increased its offensives.
More on news from Afghanistan. The Helmand Peace Convoy has now urged the US to help in ending the war in Afghanistan. The activists on Wednesday gathered in front of the US Embassy in Kabul and chanted slogans in support of peace and national reconciliation. Members of the Helmand Peace Convoy on Wednesday gathered in front of the US Embassy in Afghan capital Kabul, where they chanted slogans in support of peace and national reconciliation. The activists, who numbered up to 100, called on Washington to seek ways for ending the war in Afghanistan. The activists on Wednesday also sent a letter to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres asking him not to remain indifferent towards ending the ongoing war in Afghanistan.
هلته په امریکا کې بم تظاهرات شروع سي ناستې به شروع سي او اوس مم هیله دا د هغه دوستان چې په امریکا کې دي چې زموږ سره اړیکه ونیسي.
The convoy initially launched a sit-in protest in Lashkargah city after a suicide bombing outside a stadium. About a month later, a group of 8 protesters left Helmand on foot for Kabul, all the while spreading messages of peace. The activists are now expected to hold similar protests in front of embassies of Iran, Pakistan and Russia. As the FIFA World Cup 2018 is making football lovers go crazy, fans in Siliguri city in eastern India are celebrating the game with football-shaped cakes and miniature trophies made of eggshells and soap bars. Football fans celebrated the FIFA World Cup fever with a football-shaped cake with flags of participating teams on it in Siliguri city in eastern India on Wednesday. Navamita Guha Thakurta, a football enthusiast, said she made the cake as a treat to all football lovers, especially looking at the FIFA World Cup 2018 that has taken the entire country with craze.
For the very first time I saw a cake in shape of a football. Nowadays it's World Cup days, football days. We are football lovers, we love football. So it's a huge thing for the fans to see a cake in a shape of football representing all the countries, and it looks amazing, it looks tasty too, so yeah, it's amazing.
Another fan and miniature artist, Savitru from India's southern Coimbatore city, has created a series of Mero sculptures using different props such as soap bar, lead pencil and eggshells depicting his love for the sport and global football star Lionel Messi.
இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எக்ஷெல்லில் வந்து வேர்ல்ட் கப் அந்த இதோ பண்ணியிருக்கேன். எக்ஷெல் மட்டும் ரிமூவ் பண்ணியிருக்கேன் நான். அதே மாதிரி பார்த்தீங்கன்னா சோப்பில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மெஸ்ஸியோட ஃபோட்டோ ஃபேஸ் மட்டும் கார் பண்ணியிருக்கேன் வித் அவரோட நேமோட பண்ணியிருக்கேன். அப்புறம் மெஸ்ஸியோட ஃபேமஸ் ஸ்ட்ரைக்கிங் ஸ்டைல் வந்து பென்சில் டிப்பில் வந்து கார் பண்ணியிருக்கேன்.
Soccer is famous mostly in eastern and southern India, and the FIFA World Cup 2018 has seen major interest from these parts of the country. A delegation of 185 monks and nuns from Thailand reached India's northern Leh town on Wednesday after completing a 32-day-long peace walk. The peace walk aimed at achieving worldwide peace and harmony.
After completing a 32-day peace walk, a delegation of 185 monks and nuns from Thailand reached Leh town of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Wednesday. The Tamapak Yatra began from Budh-Gaya in India's eastern Bihar province on May 24th. The walk covered Budh-Gaya, Dharamshala town in Himachal Pradesh province and Ladakh in Jammu and Kashmir province. It aimed to spread the message of peace and religious harmony in the world.
Huge delegations of venerable monks, nuns and lay people from Thailand embark on a Path Yatra for world peace, starting from Bangkok to Budh-Gaya. Having offered the prayer at Budh-Gaya, they came to Dharamsala, and there, having met and sought blessings from His Holiness Dalai Lama.
Wonderful it was that different tradition came together, and also East and West came together, and to be part of this happening was a great honor for me.
The delegation led by the Lord Abbot of Royal Thai Temple was welcomed by Mahapodhi International Meditation Center. A grand traditional reception was arranged by the locals in honor of the delegation, which successfully completed a peace march. This was the third consecutive year the peace march was organized.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. US cannot tolerate Pakistan becoming safe haven for terrorists, says Nikki Haley. Pakistan placed on grey list by anti-terror financing watchdog. And Afghan security forces to resume operations once ceasefire ends. Now viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/AsAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @AsAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.